Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and another very special guest. We're going back to back. Bryce Bradley, Rosegate Mortgage, came home.
Yep.
Well, I say came home. He came back to Orlando by way of North Carolina. You may have just heard his top producer on a previous episode, Grant Hall, speaking of Bryce's awesomeness. And I convinced Bryce, if he's going to be in town, you got to hop on TLOP. So our special guest, Bryce Bradley, co-owner, Rosegate Mortgage.
You got it.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Bryce, welcome to TLOP, man.
Dustin, thanks for having me, man. This is great. It's like you said, it feels like I'm back home. Yeah, lived here 2 years after college, and it's good to be back.
Yeah, so here is Orlando, Florida, for people who are tuning in for the first time. And so you came down here with an internship originally, or did you come down here after you graduated?
Nope. So to work full-time after I graduated from college, like 10 years ago. And then, but yeah, originally got linked up with Orlando through an internship in college.
Okay, but now you own your own mortgage brokerage.
That's right.
Well, you and your business partner.
Correct, who's also my father, Brad.
Shout out to Papa Duke.
Shout out, Brad Bradley, the one and only, the king of redundancy. He's, could not have gotten Rosegate off the ground and kind of to where we are now without him, and then without the best, what I believe, I'm obviously very biased, but what I believe is the best team in the business. Rosegate, all we are is a collective of our people. My job's to support the best people. So, and you heard from one of them, Grant, our top, our very, very first hire and our top producer.
Well, Grant's why you and I were connected. Right?
Right.
Grant's a TLOPper. He's been tuning into the show. Hopefully he's been telling everyone else in the office, hey, you got to listen to this guy, Dustin Owen, on TLOP. He and JC are super funny, and occasionally they drop some good nuggets. But, he had reached out to me via LinkedIn, and he's like, hey, I think I would love for you to interview my my boss, Bryce. You would love him. I'm like, all right, I don't know this guy, Bryce, but I kind of want to get to know you.
Yeah.
And we were able to make it happen after this was 9 months ago, I think.
It's been a while, yeah.
And we were able to make it happen. I just said to Grant the same thing I say to most people. Look, if we can make content that is educational, entertaining, and it's going to be SEO worthy, then let's do it. But it has to be entertaining and educational. Right. What do you want to talk about? What's so important? What are some things we can teach the audience, et cetera? Yeah. And then obviously over the past 3 months, you and I have got to know each other. Yeah, we're doing an event together.
Oh, I'm pumped.
We're doing an event together on August 24th in Charlotte. So I'm coming up to your neck of the woods.
Queen City.
Is it called the Queen City?
The Queen City. Cincinnati, not the real Queen City.
Why is it called the Queen City? I know it's a banking city.
Queen Charlotte.
No way.
Yes,
duh.
Yeah. There you go.
That's like a big right in front of you, like
People
Captain
forget
Obvious.
about Queen Charlotte, but we claim the Queen City.
The Queen City of Charlotte, I know it as like the banking capital of the South.
That too.
But we're going to slide up to Charlotte, and you're hosting it. I just get to perform.
Hey.
You host it, I perform, but we're going to do a half-day event, right?
That's right.
Half-day event for loan officers.
Mortgage masterminds.
Yeah, mortgage masterminds.
TLOP. It's happening.
It's a TLOP event.
Yes, sir.
It's a TLOP event sponsored by your company, Rosegate.
Yeah, it's a great collaboration.
At a brewery.
Gonna have a great time.
What doesn't go better besides mortgage and beers?
I mean, let me tell you, there's a brewery on every corner in Charlotte. You'll see. So maybe we can hit a
don't
couple
tell
after.
JC.
We'll have a good time.
Don't tell JC. I'm not going to get him to Friday's meeting.
He's coming, right?
Yeah, JC's going to be there.
He better
It's
be.
not a TLOP event without JC.
You got to give the people what they want.
You'd be amazed. He missed an event. He had family emergency. Couldn't make it. We all have families. That happens. Yeah. And you'd be amazed that people came up to hey, where's JC? Yeah. I'm like, he had something come up in his family. It's like, oh. I'm like, but I'm here. Nah, didn't matter. Where's JC is all they care. Yeah. And then watch this. When I hang out next to him, and as he's taking pictures of people, they'll all say, you're much taller than I thought you were.
I legitimately thought the same thing. When we were sitting there eating lunch, he stood up to shake my hand. I was like, huh? I guess he might kind of slouch in the chair. I think he's being humble because he doesn't want to give off how tall he really is. But.
You know what? He is the great talent. Everyone knows he's the real talent of the show, right? Yeah. So, but when you're a talented person, you allow someone else to have the spotlight. He allows me to have the spotlight, so I get to sit up high, project my voice. He gets to sit back. Yep. He gets to use that soft monotone voice, and then he speaks seldom, but when he does, it's powerful and funny.
It carries. It does.
He is the real talent. But no, I'm excited to have you on because we did a great episode. We were highlighting Grant as the top producer.
Yep.
And yes, 65% of our audience are mortgage loan originators, and many of them want to be the next Grant. And what's really cool about Grant's story is A, he did it as a broker, and B, he's only like 3 years into his career, putting up numbers that some people haven't achieved after 20 years in the industry.
Yeah.
But you have experience at something that even I don't have, and you have experience in something that many of our audience are going to be intrigued to learn about. You know what it takes to start your own brokerage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to talk about that. If you're cool with this, we're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so. We're going to talk about what it means or how to or why someone would actually go out and start their own brokerage. And some people are going to be inspired to go do it. Others may realize, I don't think I'm ready for that, and I may never be. And by the way, that's okay. Because for many of us who run our own companies or run our own branches or own our own brokerages, there's many years when we wish, why in the hell do we do this? We should be back just originating loans. And those years are typically years like 22, 23. But nonetheless, I mean, it is a career path for many. And I think you're a great person to be able to allow me to interview, pick your brain a little bit. But before we do that, I know you're from Charlotte originally.
Yes, sir.
I know that you lived in Orlando for a couple years. If you had it your way, maybe you'd convince your wife to move back.
Lacey, let's move back. But hey, you know what? Not going to rush it. Not going to rush it.
Yeah, you could come down here, open up a Rosegate Orlando with Rosegate, Charlotte.
Yep.
But how did you get into the industry? I know your dad's been in the industry. You talked about Brad, your dad. Brad, your dad, that rhymes.
That's him.
Brad being your business partner.
Correct.
And that's a really cool story. So if you care to share it, share it. But how did you get into the mortgage industry? Because you didn't just one day wake up and go open your own brokerage.
Well, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. It's crazy how they teach, high finance in college. They teach real estate in college, but they don't actually teach residential real estate finance. Isn't that crazy? Just nobody knows anything about mortgages. It was Grant and I were talking yesterday.
68% of the American populace wants one or has one.
It's like you can't outgrow the U.S. housing market. There's a house in every corner, and they keep building more. It's like somebody's got to do the mortgage. Like most people in college don't even know what a mortgage is or how it works or how it's a true need. And you can help change people's lives. So I feel like everybody gets in the mortgage business through somebody that recruits them in, and like by accident, oftentimes, like something happens and then somebody's like, hey, you should get in the mortgage business. Like, I don't know anything about that. And then it kind of gets in your blood. Yeah. And you can't get out, right? It's a great industry.
Legitimately, it's in your blood.
It is in my blood. Yep. It definitely runs thick in my blood. But the reason why I love the mortgage business so much is I believe you can actually control the deliverable. I've been in businesses before where you don't have control. So maybe you're just, not to disparage anybody by any means, but maybe you're just a salesperson and you don't have control over the performance of what you're selling or the quality of what you're selling, right? You're putting your reputation on the line, and it can be frustrating when you don't have control over the actual, the deliverable. So what do I mean by that? So you could talk to somebody that's thinking about getting pre-approved, understand their goals, ask a bunch of questions, and customize a solution that's going to fit into their life. Help them get that house. And at the end, it's, hey, I'm going to get the keys to the house. So that you can take in that information, run credit, look at all the docs, all that stuff. And then, within 30 days, they get the keys, they get the house, family moves in, you're high-fiving, and then you can get more business because you've done a bang-up job. Tune into the episode with Grant. He kind of gets into how to do that, how to dominate and turn one into four. So I love this business because of that. I always say you can't outgrow the U.S. housing market either, being a real need. So it's a great business to be in. It found me. I actually got recruited by Brad, my dad's old business partner. So he started a couple nationwide wholesalers. So back in the subprime days, sold his first company to Regions Bank in '98, helped run the mortgage division at Regions, and then started another company and sold it to Goldman Sachs, I believe the end of '07, right before '08. So kind of got out just in time, but had a ringside seat, as he likes to say. And he's an ops guy. He's never been in origination. He's always called on brokers. So I got recruited to be a non-QM account executive by his old business partner and knew nothing about mortgage. Scraped my knees. I like to joke and say it's the best training because it's almost like learning how to do math by hand. Right? Everything's a manual underwrite. Every loan's super hairy. Like, you don't see any clean loans. So it was all I knew. And
And was that just in Charlotte? Like were you out building relationships with local mortgage brokers?
Yes and no. I had some local brokers that sent me business, but it was nationwide.
Okay.
So I had free reign just to call anywhere and try and connect with people.
Were you doing like fix
get 'em
and
to send me
flip,
business.
DSCR, bank statement?
DSCR, bank statement were the big two.
Okay.
Some foreign national.
Okay.
But yeah, for the most part, DSCR, investor cash flow loans, and then self-employed bank statement. Great training. What happened, unfortunately, was COVID came, liquidity crisis. And nobody wanted non-QM loans, so unfortunately,
Well, no one on the secondary market
That's what
wanted
I'm-
non-QM.
Right.
Plenty of loan officers and borrowers could have used them. Unfortunately, we
Yeah.
only make widgets for Wall Street, and if
Yes.
Wall Street don't want it, we can't make it.
Precisely. So
Yeah.
great catch, Dustin. Thank you for clearing that up. So the company couldn't, we couldn't unload them. So what are you going to do? You're going to go make more loans that you can't unload? No, it doesn't work that way. So it is what it is, and great people there. Still keep in touch with a lot of them. They were very good to me and gave me an opportunity to get in the business. I'll forever be grateful. But what happened, Dustin, was I had no choice. Like, what am I going to do? My number one client or partner that was sending me business was a broker actually here in the Central Florida area, oddly enough. And he said, Bryce, go get licensed, hang your hat with me, and I'll teach you everything I know. And, owe this guy to this day. I mean, can I give him a shout out?
Oh, please give him a shout out.
Tommy Flood, Lux Mortgage, actually here out of Maitland. Was really, really good to me. Taught me a ton. And I was back and forth between Charlotte and Orlando, sleeping on my buddy's couch, literally listening to Tom's phone calls, and he's really good on the phones and how to structure up these loans from, an LO standpoint. Like, I knew how to kind of put loans together on the back end and get them through closing, but I didn't know how to actually originate the file and, gather the initial doc. So,
Is
yeah.
Tom Flood a Flood brother? Like, he's Pat Flood's brother, the Flood brothers who started Home Bank Mortgage Corporation in Atlanta, Georgia?
No, sir, I do not believe so.
Okay.
And if you are, Tom, I apologize.
No,
but
you would know.
I
I
don't
mean,
believe-
the Home Bank
Yeah.
was a $2 billion
I don't believe so.
originator out of Atlanta. They were in Atlanta, Charlotte, Orlando, Tampa,
Yeah.
a little bit in Nashville. Unfortunately, they went, by the way, most lenders in 2008 lost their warehouse line of credit, and that's basically, that's the guillotine.
Yeah.
You're done in a couple days.
Sure.
But anyhow, the last name Flood it's like
Yeah.
it's a big name in the Southeast when it comes to mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not
Not
Tom
the guy.
Flood.
He's a New York guy originally, I believe. But anyway, yeah.
Well,
so
shout out to Tom Flood
Shout out
because
Tommy.
Tom took you under his wing,
my guy. Yeah.
and but you also had the wherewithal. You were, I'm sure, paying for your own travel down to Orlando.
I was.
And you were sleeping on couches, and you were married with kids at the time.
I had a son on the way.
Okay, so you had a pregnant wife at home.
Yeah, I had to make money. I mean, I was like, okay, I love the mortgage business. I think I'd be good at originating because one of my frustrations as an account executive was like my friends would ask me, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Can you help me? Well, I can't, but I can connect you with a loan officer that could. And it's like, well, this would be a good fit because, I like to make friends and know a lot of people. So, you know what? I think this could be something. And then I could see how I could get business referred my way and actually do, just do what I do naturally and build a book of business. Okay, this could be good. So Tommy taught me, but I did go to him and I said, hey, Tom, just so you know, I do want to start my own just because I guess it runs in the blood. My old man, serial entrepreneur, started a couple of big, mortgage companies. And from a young age, I kind of saw that and I look up to him. So I was like, I'm going to start my own. And he was very supportive of that. And after, just a few months with Tom, I said, hey, I'm going to go make the leap, take the leap and start my own company. And I explained to him that it was actually, I was pulling my dad back in the business because I took the idea to him and I said, hey, I think I'm going to start a brokerage. And what do you think? And he's like, I'm kind of itching to do something. I'm kind of on the sidelines. So, how about we launch this together? Because he loves starting and building companies. So without him, there's no way that, Rosegate would be where it is or, even if in existence at all, right? So,
well, yeah, because real quick for the audience, you started Rosegate just 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And you all are on pace to come close to funding like $200 million this year?
Lord willing, we'll do better than we did last year.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, certainly should be north of 150.
Yeah,
I would say.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a dogfight right now.
To go from a virtually, you were an unknown 3.5 years ago because you weren't even in existence. To 20 loan officers, staff of 30, 35, doing the type of volume when it's purchase focused, it's realtor referred.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you that is awesome, especially in the dogfighting years that we're currently in.
Yeah.
So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
So that leads me to like what I was hoping today would be, and you started getting into it. You told Tommy, "Hey, I want to go do my own thing."
Yeah.
So you knew I don't want to go work for another mortgage company.
Yeah, no.
Whether it was
Yeah.
broker, bank, or independent mortgage bank.
I would have stayed with him. If
Yeah.
yeah.
But you're like, I want to start my own thing.
Yeah.
Walk me through. You're going to walk me through the process, but almost like walk me through the process as if you're giving advice to the listener.
Yeah.
Because there's someone tuning in right now
Sure.
that has highly considering starting their own mortgage brokerage.
Yeah.
Where do they start?
Yeah.
What are some of the pitfalls to be aware of? Maybe what are some things that you didn't even know?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is going to be easy. Watch this. And then you went out there and maybe got kicked in the teeth and you're like, whoa, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
What type of tips and tricks could you share with the audience for anyone who's looking to start their own brokerage?
Yeah, happy to get into it. First and foremost, I'd say it's not for everybody. When Grant and I were pulling in, I looked at him and, I looked at this building and I thought to myself, I told him, I said, there's not one right model. Like, it's okay. Like, if you're, with a big mortgage lender and you're just an originator, you're not just an originator, but, you're a loan officer or you're a branch manager, you're on the P&L model, maybe you're wanting to start your own mortgage brokerage. Like, you can find success as a mortgage broker. You can find success as a mortgage lender. You can find success as a hybrid. I think it's really just about making sure you're with the right people, right? The people make it. And the platforms, there's pros and cons to each, right? So, a broker's not the end-all be-all. A lender's not the end-all be-all. Like, there's pros and cons. So,
and running your own branch
Yeah.
is not the end-all be-all,
No.
or owning your
Yeah.
own mortgage company
Right.
isn't the end-all be-all.
Right. So I think, I love your platform, Dustin. TLOP Online, check it out, by the way.
Oh,
Because,
thank you.
the
Have you been to the new website
I have.
yet?
Looks fantastic.
Thank you.
The training, the tools, both upfront and ongoing training. I know you keep it fresh, so check it out. I'll definitely be checking it out myself and pitching it, to my team, but because I think it's going to be beneficial. But yeah, no. All that said, starting a brokerage, I think it's a great place to start. And also, it can be a great place to stay. There are so many mortgage brokers out there where the model's excellent. It's great. And a lot of brokers say, hey, I'm going to start as a broker and I'm going to grow into a lender because that's just what you do. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, right? So we've grown into, kind of a mini correspondent, but we still broker too. So there's no model's one and the same. And starting a brokerage comes with many challenges. And to answer your question now in a roundabout way, just know if you're starting a brokerage and you plan on hiring people, you are no longer in the mortgage business. You're now in the people business.
Okay.
So it's like an NFL head coach, right? You're a coordinator, you're calling plays, you're working with the players. When you become a head coach, right, your players are the other coaches. And so it changes. It changes.
Well, I've witnessed that. I've experienced that. I've witnessed it when I've seen top producers leave my company and other companies to become a branch manager, thinking that maybe that was an itch they wanted to scratch. Sometimes they thought they were going to make more money. They end up making less money, working more hours because they've now forgotten or didn't realize, no, you're also working an accounting role and an IT role, and you're now a sales trainer, and you're the janitor sometimes, and you're the marketing department sometimes. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I really am good at generating leads, converting leads into closings, and making a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, so you can be a top producer and a leader because you may have a couple LOAs and junior LOs. Lead that team, maybe do it for someone else. But then you get the entrepreneurial people like, no, I want to be in the people business.
Yeah.
Like, I love doing loans. I'm really good at it, but I'd rather help 10 people get really good at doing loans, and I love being in the people business.
Yes.
And if that's you, then yes, you should look at your own brokerage, but understand what it's going to take to get started. So what does it take? Monetarily, how much money should someone have before they go start their own brokerage?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think, aside from money, time, it is a commitment. It's a bear, and frankly, nobody really knows until they do it, and then they look back and they're like, had I only known how much work it was, I wouldn't have done it, right? But I'm glad we did it. The timing for us was good because we started middle of 2020. We're just 3 years in, so the refis help kind of fund the growth of our business, but we've known that, hey, when rates go up, it's going to be really tough, so we're going to focus on purchase money business, relationships over transactions. Transactions will come take care of itself. But in terms of what you need to start it, I really think that $250,000 in the bank, 250,000 is not. It's a nice baseline because when you're getting surety bonds and you're doing all these things, there's some capital requirements to be able to do some things that you're going to need to do, with whether it's, with wholesalers or, with whoever it might be, different third parties. It's to de-risk associating with a company like ours. It's good to have some reserves in the bank.
So $250K? Is that what's mandated or what's recommended?
Sorry, if you're going to enter into starting to do even some non-Del kind of correspondent stuff,
okay.
So if that's the goal, like you really kind of need to be there to kind of play in that world. I think you have to check me on this. Don't hold me to this. I think it's a $10,000 kind of dollar like minimum, like net worth even.
Yeah. Like not including retirement funds, not including home equity. If I can show you I have 10 grand somewhere.
I believe so. Yeah. If it's been 3 years.
I'm with you too. Like I always tell people, like, this is the world according to me, based on my memory, which sometimes sucks. Okay. Or it's my opinions based on how I've experienced life.
Yeah.
Please fact check me. And you just threw out the same disclaimer. I like it.
Well,
I like it.
It's also a 3-year experience requirement. So that's
we go. There's a barrier of entry.
That's
3
the
years.
Big one. You got to have 3 years. So actually, I wasn't quite there yet. I was like 2.5, and so with Brad, I was able to overcome that naturally. So but I mean, even let's say you have $10,500 in the bank, and I've been doing this 3 years. Let's go. There's startup costs, so that 10,000 is quickly going to become $2,000-3,000, right?
And what are those startup costs typically?
Surety bonds, you got to get.
What is a surety bond?
Oh man,
I can't even spell it, let alone pronounce it or even try to describe it. I know what a bond is, like in terms of it's insurance, right? I'm basically insuring myself.
It's insurance.
Okay.
It's insurance, kind of alongside your license. You've got to get E&O insurance, errors and omissions insurance. You've got to get. Typically, you're going to get an office space. Like you have to have some form of security, like to be able to pull credit reports, like credit report costs. I know we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, over lunch. Yeah.
I mean, credit reports can get out of control, right?
I love watching LOs go from LOs to branch managers.
Yeah.
Or watching an LO go to becoming like their own mortgage brokerage.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're like, "Can you believe I got a $13,000 credit report bill from last month?" I'm like, "That's all your credit report bill was?"
No, let me tell you. Systems, software, people. If you're going to pay, any kind of base salaries, taxes. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, you go from running, from the loan business to running your own business, and there are a lot of parallels, and there's pros and cons to each, but it's a different animal, man.
Yeah. Well, going back 3 years ago, what type of hours do you think you were putting in on the weekly?
I'm not one of those guys that says.
And by the way, surfingespn.com doesn't count. So back out checking the fantasy football scores or how Rory McIlroy's doing. Yeah. But
I'm not one of those guys that's like, you only sleep 3 hours a night. You got to make. It's like, no, like that's not sustainable. But realistically, and he was right there. Grant was right there with me when we were getting going. I mean, we were, often nights we'd still be in the office past 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
I'd say so. I mean,
in at 8.
I'd be in at 8 and out. Typically around 7, and you might be able to catch a workout 1 or 2 days a week during lunch and grab and go. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd say you're working about 60. I'd say 60 hours. If you're trying to start a company, you need to be willing to put in at least 60 hours a week, or else you're probably not going to see the results that you're wanting.
Well, especially early on, if it was just you and your dad, only one person was bringing in revenue. That was you, right? Like you had your personal production as a way to bring in revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you were not only trying to start the business.
Yeah.
But you also had to be like, oh crap, someone has to bring in revenue. Let me go call on that realtor. Let me go pre-qual that borrower.
And that pressure, it was heavy. But part of me enjoyed it. Part of me enjoyed it because I knew that if I didn't go out there and hustle, we wouldn't get off the ground. And so I was fortunately with the timing being in 2020, I was clipping some refi business to get it going, but then focusing on partnerships and people, get the word out, because we believe people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
100%.
And it's really nice to have a network. Fortunately, from Charlotte, got a nice network. So I was like, shame on me if everybody I know doesn't know that, I'm in the mortgage. I do home loans. People don't know mortgage. So I like saying home loans, right?
Me too.
Yeah. Home loans. Buy, refinance, need to get pre-approved. Call me. I'll hook you up, right? So had to get the word out, and that just takes time. But, making phone calls, asking how they're doing, focus on them, and then as long as they know that I do home loans, we're good. Like,
But-
I don't need to try and sell them on anything else.
On a technical side,
Yeah.
how did y'all pick your vendors? Like, what LOS do you use? What loan origination software?
Yeah, so we started with,
I like this. So that means you're off them already.
yeah.
Right, that means you made a decision.
Yeah.
That decision didn't go the way that you thought it would go, so you had to make another decision.
Yeah. We started with Be Smarty. So Be Smarty is actually the company behind Blink, and Blink is what UWM gives to all their folks. And we wanted to customize a little bit more. If you go direct to Be Smarty, you can do some things that Blink doesn't, and Blink's a great product. So it was great, and it was a phenomenal point of sale, the best point of sale we could find. Frankly, we just did that, and we were using because we were simply brokering, so we were just using different wholesale lenders. We were using their portals as our LOS. So
Okay.
we just did point of sale. We're like, why do we need to mess around with an LOS? Like, we didn't need Encompass, none of that. So we just had a point of sale. Get the 3.2 back then. Now it's 3.4 to the wholesalers, and rock and roll. So that was it.
I was today years old.
It was
literally.
minimalist system.
I was today years old when I learned if I want to go start my own brokerage, I don't have to reach out to Ellie Mae right away and get Encompass.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm an Encompass user. It's all I know.
Yeah,
right, 15
sure.
years on it. That's all I know.
That's what I started on too.
I know there's other loan
When I was in
origination
KE.
softwares out there, but my uneducated, unexperienced self would be like, all right, if I'm going to start my own brokerage, the first thing I need to do is I need to figure out how I'm going to pull credit. I need to figure out how I'm going to originate these loans. I must need to go get a credit vendor and a loan origination software. But you just taught me something. Is my first thing, besides like getting the proper license and the bonds and making sure I have the net worth, probably have to go find wholesalers.
Yeah, I was about to say
Like,
that. So
how do you find wholesalers?
yeah, so
Google them. Like just Google top wholesalers.
Just like-
I mean, we all know it's United, it's Rocket, it's
Yeah,
Freedom, it's Flagstar,
sure,
right? Like,
sure.
probably just name the top four. I'm guessing.
Yeah, so when I was with Tom, I had worked with United. I had worked with Rocket because back then you could. I had worked with Home Point. I had worked with
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Some good people over there. I'd worked with Rimmon. I had some friends that went and started a Amerisave wholesale. So okay, so you kind of you've got the group there. That's the best place to start. So I kind of jumped the gun. Like, go call your wholesalers. They have every reason in the world to want to help you get off the ground.
Yes,
like,
throw a ball into your success.
They have a vested interest in you. Like, they will take the time to literally hold your hand and help get you set up. That's what they want to do. Like, AIM's a good organization. I'm not even part of it, but it's a good organization where they can help you get off the ground. But I will plug United Wholesale Mortgage. They've been a phenomenal partner for us. Alan Beydoun, their head of sales, number 2 guy in the company, does all their sales meetings for LOs and AEs every Wednesday. He's going to be at the TLOP event on the 24th. He's going to speak.
Oh, I look forward to meeting him. Yes.
He's going to throw down. It's going to be great. So anyway, they were a good partner.
He and I would have to have a dance-off. Who can bring more energy, huh?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's going to be a toss-up.
Yeah.
But
don't worry. Brett's going to beat all 3 of us.
yeah, that's what I hear. He already reached out. He's got good energy. So anyway, they were great for us because they'll literally say, okay, like, here's some great kind of low-cost point of sale LOSs. You can use our free CRM. You can use our free point of sale. If you want to take it to the next level, we can show you how to do that. We can get you, discounts on licensing. We can get you discounts on, credit report vendors. Like, we can sit down, hook you up with our IT guy and show you how to get everything connected. So, like, they're taking it to that level because they're trying to grow the channel. So, start with
Super
a
smart of them.
wholesaler.
Super smart.
Very smart. Start with a wholesaler. Find a great account executive. Treat them well. Become friends with them, and they will help you. So that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I can give. If you want to start your own brokerage, tip my cap, do it. Great, go for it. It's a lot of work. It's really hard. Grass isn't always greener. Sometimes it is. But call some wholesalers. Figure out who you like, who you mesh well with. For us, that was United. And build a good relationship with their team, and importantly, the account executive.
Awesome. Last 2 questions
Yes,
for
sir.
you. Where do you see Rosegate in 5 years?
Certainly with a much larger presence in the Southeast. Currently, we're licensed, I believe it's 12 states, but it's in the Southeast primarily. But we're going to have other offices, physical offices in the Southeast, because we believe real estate is local. purchase is local. People do business with people. They know, like, and trust, and real estate's local. So we're going to have different offices in the Southeast. And then, we certainly want to grow to a point to where we're nationwide. Tough for me to wrap my arms around that right now, but I can certainly see Southeast heavy within 5 years.
And then this is a question I like to ask many guests, not all guests, but many guests. And it's going to be interesting to hear your take, because just hearing you describe the relationship you have with your father, right? Best man in your wedding, someone that you look up to, successful businessman, your business partner today. But a question I like to ask everyone is, what's something you wish you learned growing up? And I'm going to ask you learned. Mm-hmm. I used to ask it, you wished it was taught to you. This may have been taught to you. You may have had a phenomenal mentor as parents, but maybe you just weren't willing to listen. Yeah. What's something you wish you had learned earlier in life that today, being in the position that you are in a leadership role, that you try to make sure you get that taught to others? Could be a life lesson. It could be a business lesson. Yeah. Could be a mindset thing.
Yeah, I'm using silence intentionally because, and you won't gather this from our conversations because I've been dominating the time of possession through talking, but I would say talk less, listen more, ask questions, shut up. Because there's so much more that you can learn from listening than there is in speaking. So we try to train pretty heavily on that. Question-based sales, needs-based. At the end of the day, understand who you're speaking with. Figure out what they like, what they don't like. Configure, craft up a solution. If it doesn't fit, it's all good. But ask questions, listen.
Awesome, Bryce. If people want to get a hold of you, what's your favorite medium or favorite avenue for someone to reach out to you if they have questions regarding starting their own brokerage or picking your brain about who some of your favorite wholesalers are? Maybe you can introduce them to some of your favorite AEs. Or they have just questions in general. How do you suggest people connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm happy to help however I can. I love making friends, especially in our industry, and seeing people grow and trying to pay it forward without keeping score. A lot of people have helped me. So I want to help others as much as I can. Whether or not there's anything in return immediately, it's fine. It's LinkedIn. I'm not a big social media guy like you. I'm big on LinkedIn though.
Yep.
So it's just Bryce Bradley, BRYCE Bradley, with Rosegate, and hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll shoot you my number. We can talk. I'm here and happy to help however I can.
Awesome. Well, I love it. I am Dustin, first name, Owen, last name. I am on LinkedIn. I'm also anywhere else they have social, primarily Instagram. If you're trying to reach out between Instagram and Facebook, I'm easier on Instagram. Yeah. For my wife's request that I honor, I don't accept personal Facebook friend requests. Right? So I have very limited friends on Facebook because I've pared that down to just people who know us, because my wife likes to post pictures of the kids and our travel. Yeah. But I use Instagram wide open, LinkedIn wide open. Yep. And then obviously for me, it's the website. I mean, it is TLOPonline.com. If you want to register for the event that Bryce is hosting on August 24th, go to TLOPonline.com. Scroll down. It's on the main page. You can see the event is featured. You can click a button. You can register right there. Yeah. And come hang out with us.
Please.
I'll be there. JC will be there.
And free food and
You'll
drinks.
You'll be there. Free food and drinks, and you're going to get your learn on. And more importantly, you're going to network with other mortgage professionals.
Yes.
How cool would that be? Bryce, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
That is all the time we have for this particular show. But for our audience, we'll look forward to catching you on the next episode.
Dustin, thank you.
Thank you.